All new today on Newsbeat, a U.S. Navy officer is accused of the unthinkable, what U.S. prosecutors say he did.
A revamped Wrigley Field welcomes Cubs fans for the big home opener. We'll take you to the friendly confines for all the fun.
Hi, I'm Tara Gibbons, and I'll tell you what to expect for this week. Will we have to wear a winter coat still? Newsbeat starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jacqueline Celesti.
And I'm Joshua Short. Today is Tuesday, April 12th, 2016.
Chicagoans love an excuse to head outside when the weather is nice.
And now getting around anywhere in the city will be just a little bit easier. Our own Natalie Cardona has more on how. Natalie.
Thanks, guys. Let's face it, Chicagoans love to ride bikes, especially with those iconic views. And now it's going to be easier than ever thanks to a new bike lane expansion plan. You don't need a motor to ride down some of Chicago's busiest streets, you just need a bike. Now, the mayor unveiled a plan to add and improve 50 more miles of bike lanes in the next 3 years.
4 years ago, the city was 10th in the sense of bike friendliness. We're now moved up our ranks to 2nd, and it's because of all the investments and improvement.
The new lanes will look something like this, with clear striping and curb-protected areas to make some space for drivers and bicyclists to share.
In addition to making expanding the size of our system a priority, we've also been working to make our system more equitable and accessible in every part of the city.
As you have more walkable, bikeable communities, the communities tend to be more livable.
This upcoming summer, Divvy is already planning to add 75 bike stations around the city, meaning more bicyclists will be hitting the streets.
Bike lanes are everywhere in the downtown loop, but it's when you head to the neighborhoods that green pavement is kind of hard to find.
When you look at the north and west side, that's the bulk of the bike lanes. Even though the south side has more area than the north and west side combined.
9 miles of bike lanes are set to be added in 2016, but until then, many neighborhood bikers will have to stick to the sidewalk or hug the curbsides. So for now, get used to looking both ways when crossing the road for those spinning wheels and those helmets, because bike lanes will be heading your way soon. I'm Natalie Cardona, live in the newsroom. Back to you both in the studio.
Thank you, Natalie. Well, if you want to take your bike out for a ride, this would be the week to do it.
Newsbeat's Tara Gibbons tells us why. Tara?
Thanks, guys. Let's hope this beautiful weather isn't a tease. Spring weather is finally back with us. Let's take a look outside at our current temps. High of 43 with sunshine. Stay tuned and I'll tell you more. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Tara. Monday, Chicago suffered the loss of a broadcast legend. We remember Doug Banks, a radio icon for over 30 years. He passed away from complications of diabetes, according to Chicago media outlets. Colleagues remember him in a tribute show during his 2 o'clock time slot yesterday. Many students at Columbia also felt the effects of such a tragic loss. The Doug Banks Show theme song played across the airwaves one last time Monday in memory of a legend.
We're just going to make sure that, we always uplift our radio community.
Doug Banks was born in Philadelphia and raised in Detroit, but he always seemed to be made for radio.
Okay, here we go. All right, Chicago, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Radio students at Columbia are honoring his legacy.
And not too many radio personalities can be someone who catered to everyone.
Banks inspired people from all generations.
He was a big inspiration, is the reason why I'm here now at Columbia College studying radio. It was a big shocking for me to hear that he's gone now.
For over 30 years, he left his mark on both radio and television.
This is my song right here, the Dougie.
What folks remember from him is his positivity, even though he was going through some adversity.
Newsbeat received this statement yesterday from regional president of iHeartMedia on the passing of Doug Banks. Quote, Doug's impact on our industry and Chicago was monumental. I am deeply saddened by his passing. Doug Banks was and always will be one of the best radio broadcasters in history. I consider it a privilege to have worked with Doug and will do my best to honor his memory. Doug Banks was 57 years old. 2 19-year-old women from Louisiana's Southern University are dead after a shooting at an apartment party. One of them, a star athlete from Gary, Indiana. LaShante Benton of Lake Charles and Annette January of Gary were shot around 2 a.m. Sunday morning. January was a freshman at LSU and on the track and field team. Benton, a sophomore, was a team athletic trainer. Police arrested 2 men suspected of firing the shots, 22-year-old Ernest Bernard Felton of Miami and another unidentified 24-year-old man. Investigators believe the gunfire stemmed from an earlier altercation.
The little girl who dreamed of being a Chicago cop has died. 6-year-old Madison Pruitt was honored Wednesday at her Auburn Gresham home by the Chicago Police Department, including Interim Superintendent Eddie Johnson. Pruitt told Johnson she wanted to be a police officer because, quote, "you get to help people." Pruitt was battling muscle cancer and passed away Sunday.
The Chicago Police Department will roll out additional body cameras this spring as part of the department's pilot program. The department will provide over 400 body cameras, which will be worn by officers and supervisors. The camera will be in 7 of 22 police districts and can record 72 hours of high-definition video on a single battery. The body cameras are currently being used in the Shakespeare Police District in Logan Square. Interim Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson took the lead and started wearing his body camera on Monday. Mayor Rahm Emanuel says wearing a camera demonstrates the department's efforts to restore trust and accountability within the residents. Coming up on Newsbeat after the break, a former New Orleans Saints player shot and killed. There's surprising connection he had with the shooter.
Plus, a U.S. commander is under investigation for allegedly giving secretive information. The superpower the U.S. says he passed it to, coming up next.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Does the United States have a mole? It turns out that might be the case. Lieutenant Commander Edward Lin is charged with espionage. According to prosecutors, he was working with China and Taiwan. Lin is accused of illegally sharing U.S. secrets, falsifying records, and even prostitution. Lin was taken into custody 8 months ago at a U.S. airport. Information about the case did not become available until after Friday's preliminary hearing.
The 2016 presidential election has stirred up major controversy in a number of ways. But now, 2 presidential candidates have shifted the tide to the debate over interrogation and torture. Republican candidate Donald Trump says that he would use a force called waterboarding against terrorists. President Barack Obama banned this act back in 2009, but Trump says he would use the act of torture again if necessary. CIA Director John Brennan says otherwise.
I would not agree to having any CIA officer carrying out waterboarding again.
Presidential candidate Ted Cruz says he would not bring back waterboarding, but Cruz says he would use any other force necessary to keep the United States safe.
Controversy is stirring up after a California lawmaker proposes an idea for the United States to allow legal drug testing sites. Assemblywoman Susan Eggman introduced the proposal, which allows drugs such as heroin and crack to be supervised. In other cities, other cities such as Seattle and New York have also proposed the idea. Some lawmakers and supporters say the move could potentially reduce the risk of overdose, while some California law enforcement officials say otherwise, adding that they fear the facilities would encourage the use of drugs.
People around the world are sending their prayers to the family of former NFL star Will Smith. He was shot and killed over the weekend after what police say was a road rage incident. His killer, Cardell Hayes, has been charged with the shooting and could be a result of an incident from nearly a decade ago.
And I can tell you that my client was not the aggressor in terms of the behavior that happened after the accident.
Police have charged this man, Cardell Hayes, in the shooting death of former NFL star Will Smith.
One life is over and another life is ruined.
Ruined over what police believe to be a road rage incident, which occurred late Saturday night in New Orleans, a city where he won his first and only Super Bowl ring.
Our investigation continues as to motive of this shooting and whether or not Smith and Hayes knew each other prior to this incident.
But there is a strange connection between the two. This picture was posted on Twitter and taken the night of the shooting. It shows Will Smith with a former teammate and a man named William Saravolo, a former New Orleans police officer. Saravolo was a defendant in a wrongful death suit against the New Orleans Police Department, filed by Cardell Hayes, following the 2005 death of his father.
It's just hard to comprehend where we are. It's not just New Orleans, it's nationwide and beyond, and it's very, very frustrating because when you see someone of this magnitude, it just puts a face to a problem that continues to exist nationwide.
Smith is survived by 3 children and his wife, who was shot in the leg in the incident and is currently recovering. It's really a sad story.
So what do you think his motive was?
Well, police are not sure as of right now, but as you can see in the package, there is a connection between Smith and his killer. So who knows what the actual connection beyond that would be, but police aren't sure, so they're still investigating.
That is a sad story. It was the front page that had all of the political world talking. The Boston Globe took a glimpse into the future Sunday. The paper's opinion section took over the front page, showing what life would be like if Donald Trump became president. Headlines read mass deportation, trade wars, and even Kid Rock as a Japanese ambassador. The Globe said it is a front page they hope to never have to print.
Coming up next on Newsbeat.
Netflix users, you may be spending a little more to stream your favorite shows.
Plus, a suspected crook who's a cook. Find out why police are looking for this man, all because of a hamburger. Newsbeat will be right back.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Binge watching your favorite shows is about to cost you a little more. Netflix announced that beginning in May, monthly fees will increase by 25%. Users currently paying $7.99 a month, can add $2 to their monthly bill. Netflix says the price hike ensures a better streaming service and more movies and TV shows.
Thank you for that, Jackie, because I didn't know about that increase. McDonald's Hamburglar character came to life this past weekend. Now, a man with some late-night munchies decided to cook himself a meal at a Five Guys restaurant in Washington, D.C. Now, take a look at this. As you can see, the man in this surveillance video casually walking around the restaurant while talking on the phone. The suspect appears to have no interest in any of the valuables and instead fired up the grill and cooked him up some burgers. Police say the suspect broke into the restaurant after waiting for the delivery person to leave. It is unsure if the man added some fries and a drink to his meal, but police are still investigating. Oh my goodness.
Well, this week you can probably throw one of those Five Guys burgers on the grill.
Newsbeat's Tara Gibbons gives us more on the weather and what to expect for the rest of the week.
Guys, I think we can, compared to last week with rain, snow, sleet, even snow, yeah, I think we can definitely put it on. So let's take a look outside. Sunny skies, our current temperatures, high of 43 with sunshine. Let's go to our area temperatures. Pontiac, 45, Morris, 45, Ottawa, 45, Lakefront and O'Hare, temperatures cooling down a bit with 42 degrees. Let's take a look at tonight's temperatures. Lower with a high of 35 and some clouds, and onto our 5-day forecast. Wednesday, high of 56 and a low of 41. Thursday, partly sunny skies with a high of 58 and a low of 42. For Friday, sunny skies with a high of 61 and a low of 48. And for Saturday, that's our warmest temperature for the week with a high of 63 and a low of 50. So guys, what are your plans for this weekend?
Ooh,
Spring is finally here.
63, do you have any plans?
I'm just hoping it stays this way for now.
It's been a little bit of a turmoil going up and down with the temperatures.
Yeah,
we finally
definitely.
reached the 60s. Now, that wasn't a joke, right? It wasn't a typo, it was 63.
Yeah, 63.
Thank you so much. Chicago is living up to its sports town reputation. With so much going on this nice week, Blackhawks superstar Patrick Kane made history over the weekend. Newsbeat's Eddie Diaz has all the details coming up.
And Cubs fans pack Wrigley for the team's home opener against the Cincinnati Reds. Your sports update is coming up next.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow. I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
It's a busy week in sports for Chicago fans.
The Cubs are busy preparing for their opening day, and Patrick Kane is winning on and off the ice. We have team coverage in sports this week with Jeremy Jara and Eddie Diaz.
That's right, Josh and Jackie. It was a very hectic day at Wrigley, from the new clubhouse to new security measures.
You got it, Jeremy. Let's talk about how fans are reacting to the Cubs' first home game of the year.
It's that time of the year.
Cubs fans once again get to witness another year of baseball at Wrigley Field.
Excited to be at opening day. It's my first opening day anywhere.
With the new year comes new additions to Wrigley, including a newly renovated clubhouse and metal detectors.
I mean, the clubhouse is definitely beneficial for the players, right? And that's going to add to the morale, and that's going to actually have them indirectly play better. In regards to the metal detectors, I guess it's just what society demands today. So it's all throughout the majors, and it's just a must-have.
If you're a player, I mean, how could you not like what's going on here? You went from the smallest clubhouse to like the second largest clubhouse. So you got to be excited to be here and be a Cub, you know?
Here at the Cubs home opener, fans are storming in to see the Cubs face the Reds. But is the hype really real, or is there a chance for them to underachieve?
If you get too caught up into the hype, then you start believing, you know, what everybody else thinks. Expectations get hard. You just got to play every day, you know, and good things will happen.
The promise for this season is there. It's just the ability to put it all together.
I think they could do it. You know, I mean, there's the promise, there's the, the talk. I think they've got all the right ingredients to make it happen, for sure.
Cubs fans know if you start believing the hype, that might alter expectations. But when it comes to expectations, they are never too high for the Cubs. Eddie, back to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. It wasn't just a refurbished Wrigley Field that had Cubs fans feeling brand new. So too did the newfound sense of hope in the air after a deep playoff run, as a team that was a laughingstock just 2 years ago now has their fan base believing this year is World Series or bust. The Cubs hosted the Reds for the 101st annual opening day at Wrigley Field. Kyle Schwarber received a standing ovation from Cubs faithful after tearing his ACL last week. Beautiful moment for that young man. We're going to pick it up in the bottom of the first here. Jason Hayward with a blast to center field gets absolutely robbed by Adam Duvall. Check it out again here in slow motion. Unbelievable play. What a catch by Duvall. We'll head to the top of the third. Cubs trail by 1. Billy Hamilton drills one to left field, and it drops right into the basket. Home run. Cubs now down 2, and John Lester is not happy with himself. And then Finnegan up to bat with 2 on. Who says pitchers can't hit? Singles into center field. Phillips scores, and the Reds now have a 3-0 lead. And Finnegan, having a no-hitter throughout 6 2/3 innings, watches Grandpa Ross put an end to that bid. Cubs load the bases. Finnegan is yanked, but the relief didn't do much better. Hayward singles into right field with the bases loaded, and that would bring 2 across, as the Cubs have cut the deficit now to just 1 run. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Addison Russell crushes the first pitch fastball to center field. That ball gone. A 3-run homer. Fans lose their minds as the Cubs take their first lead of the game. So on to the top of the 9th. The Reds trying to rally, but Hector Rondon having none of it. He strikes out the entire side for the 1-2-3 inning and seals the deal. The Cubs down the Reds 5-3 and win their first home opener in 6 years. In 1996, the Chicago Bulls set an NBA record when they picked up their 72nd win of the season against the now-defunct Washington Bullets. Fast forward 20 years later, and a record that seemed unbreakable is now in jeopardy. The Golden State Warriors defeated the San Antonio Spurs Sunday night to tie the Bulls' 72-win record. Led by reigning MVP Stephen Curry, the Warriors have been in championship form all season. But the defending champions now have a chance to break the record this Wednesday night against the Grizzlies. What makes this Cinderella story even more magical is the fact that the Warriors coach, Steve Kerr, was a player on the Bulls' 72-win team. Kerr took time to reflect upon his good fortune after Sunday's win.
Right place, right time type thing, to be part of two teams that have performed like this and won at this level for the entire season. Pretty lucky, really, just to play next to Michael and Scotty and Dennis and play for Phil, and then come here and inherit this whole group, Steph and Clay and Draymond and Andre and everybody else as my first coaching job. Pretty good draw.
We're in the moment.
Despite being on the verge of breaking the Bulls' record, the Warriors have received nothing but support from members of that roster, with notable names such as Scottie Pippen congratulating them. One thing is for certain, however, win or lose, whether they break the record or simply remain tied at 72, the Warriors are now forever a part of history. And speaking of history, the Art Ross Trophy has been given to the NHL's top scorer since it was introduced in the 1947-48 season. But it wasn't until this season that an American player won that trophy. Patrick Kane became the first American ever to lead the NHL in scoring, but Kane didn't just make history. He did it in dominant fashion. Kane finished with 106 points this season, an astounding 17 points more than second-place forward Jamie Benn. Much of Kane's success can be attributed to his 26-game point streak earlier this season, which was the longest streak by a player in 23 years. And while Kane said it was an honor to be the first American to win the Art Ross, his focus remains solely on helping the Blackhawks win their 4th Stanley Cup in 7 seasons. The Blackhawks open up the playoffs with a first-round matchup against the Blues this Wednesday. And now, real quick, the Indiana Pacers defeated the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday to officially eliminate those Chicago Bulls from playoff contention. The Chicago White Sox defeated the winless Twins 4-1 for their first 5-2 start since 2012. And the Stanley Cup playoffs begin this Wednesday when the Red Wings take on the Lightning at 6 p.m. And well, Josh and Jackie, the big question on everybody's mind, will the Bulls, or is their record gone? Are the Warriors going to break the Bulls' win record?
We didn't make the playoffs, so we have to hold on to something. I want to hold on to that record. I don't want to be 73 wins. I really don't.
I mean, they certainly have a chance to do it, but the Bulls won the championship that year, so if the Warriors don't repeat, then it really doesn't mean anything.
It is meaningless. You got it. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Absolutely.
That's it for us today. I'm Joshua Short.
And I'm Jacqueline Selesky for Eddie Diaz in Sports and Tyra Gibbons in Weather. Have a great day. Join us every Tuesday at 11:30 for our live broadcast.